Hi, my name is Rihanna Pfizer, and today I'm going to be talking about my grandmother, who is what they consider to be a seer or a prophet. Now, defined by Merriam-Webster, a seer is someone who literally sees, or someone who is credited with a spiritual insight. In the Bible, it is said that a seer, or a prophet, is someone that God talks to. And God can talk to these people in many ways, such as with auditory or in visions, such as with our natural eye or in dreams. And these dreams or visions give insight into what God says. In chapter 12 of Numbers, the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud and stood at the entrance of a tent and called Aaron and Miriam. And they both came forward, and he said, "Hear my words. If there is a prophet among you, I, the Lord, make myself known to him in a vision. I speak with him in a dream." So, this is someone that has a very strong connection with God. And my grandmother has always been known to have that connection that no one could possibly explain. One night in the 1960s, my grandmother had a dream. And she had dreamed that a car had pulled up in front of her house, and the little boy had gotten out. The little boy was wearing a gray shirt with a maroon band, and was wearing gray velour corduroy pants. And at this point in time, that was a very expensive outfit of someone who would come from a more wealthy family, and not something that you would see every day. Well, not too much long after, another car pulled up, and two men hopped out and started dragging the boy towards their truck. And he was kicking and screaming, doing anything that he could to get away. And right before she woke up, a voice said, "Go tell Miss Jones." And it was so loud that when she woke up, she was sure that my papa had to have heard it. And she looked over, and there he was, still sleeping. And she sat there and mulled over, "Who is Miss Jones? I don't know a Miss Jones." And in the back of her head, she couldn't stop thinking about the elementary school that was down the road. So she decided, "I'll call my friend Rosie. She has kids at that school." So she gets up the next morning and goes to touch the phone, and like electricity, it electrocuted her. And she heard a voice say, "No." And she goes on about her day, still continuing to think and worry about this boy who she knew was in danger. And the next day she thought, well, maybe I'll call my friend Frank. He works in the education system. He has to know who he is. And she goes to touch the phone. And like electricity, it shocks her. And she hears the voice, "No." And she continues to mull, more and more anxious about what's going to happen to this boy. And the next day, she's dressed down, going to clean the house, goes to plug in the sweeper. And right as it touches the outlet, it shocks her. And this time, she hears, "Go." So she drops everything, grabs her purse, hops in the car, and starts driving. And as she's driving along the Oak River, she sees a billboard that wasn't there before with this boy's face. And instead of focus being on him, it's on the outfit. And she gets to the school, the little elementary school, walks in like she knows what she's doing, and says to the secretary, "I need to speak with Miss Jones." And right as she said that, a little lady had rounded the corner, and the secretary says, "Miss Jones, there's someone here to speak to you." Now keep in mind, my grandmother had never known who this woman was. This woman didn't know who she was. And Miss Jones says, "Go sit in my office and I'll be with you in a minute." So she goes and she sits and she notices a plaque on the front of her desk that says "The Head Nut" and 4 picture frames, 2 on each side of her desk facing her. Well, she walks in, sits down across from my grandmother, and my grandmother says, "I like your plaque, but you may want to give it to me after I tell you what I have to say." And she didn't crack a smile, a very serious woman. And she tells her what she had dreamed about and what she had heard. And at the very last second, she remembered, "Oh, I forgot to tell you what the boy was wearing." And she tells her about the corduroy pants and the gray shirt with a maroon band. And she sits there, and her face goes white. And she said, "You just described what I got my grandson for Christmas." And turned 2 of her picture frames around, and there was that little boy. The last thing she said was, "I thought this was taken care of." And before my grandmother got up to leave, she told her, "God will warn us if we are willing to listen." My grandmother has always had this gift about being able to see and spiritually being able to talk to God and having that connection. And there are plenty of seers or prophets walking among us. Sometimes you just don't know it.